All right, guys, I think it's safe to say that we have all been waiting this long week, longer than most, since Thousand Year Blood War Part 3 has started. This week's episode was going to be a lot of what ifs. Were they going to do a flashback? Were they going to instantly start with the Mairi fight? Or what else were we going to get? A lot of people were speculating why Renji was getting a lot more spotlight, and that intro was once a teaser. I think they paid off very, very well, if not surpassed everything that we could have wanted with that fight. The Uryu versus Renji fight that we got this week was by far insane. I mean, that's going to be tough to beat. I mean, as far as additional fights, definitely got to be one of the better ones. I mean, what else are we looking at here? I mean, that's got to be number one. I mean, as far as an additional scene that they decided to put in outside of the source material. Now, we can easily see here that this episode is heavily favored on focusing on Renji and Uryu. But more so, what I am impressed with and most pleased with is that we get to see how crazy Renji's Bankai truly is after his training inside of the Royal Palace. Now, during this fight, we get to see him basically do the whole flick motion with it after Uryu activates his Volsundish, which is just crazy in itself that arm is just a complete extension of Uryu's left arm itself. I mean, it really just embodies the fact that he is more one with his Bankai, I would say, than most of the characters in Bleach that do have a Bankai. But here within their fight, I mean, you can tell that he's holding back, and Uryu also knows. So I like how so far it's very, very much focusing on not giving up the charade of this idea that Uryu is truly now on the side of the Quincy's and the Sternritter, and that he is so upset with how the Quincy were treated at one point that he truly at one point despised Renji. I mean, I don't know if that quote that he says is a true direct I despised you, but you would think, at least from how the anime has portrayed Renji and Uryu's relationship, you wouldn't think there'd be any animosity toward Renji, other than the fact that he is a Soul Reaper. I mean, that's probably most likely what it means. But again, this fight, they did a very good job, since it was something expected, something we didn't get, and you just see he impales him, and you see him do the Soho part where he twists it like he did when he ended Mask, and the sheer power of his Bankai now. You can see it just completely destroy all of this area of Warvel, despite how big it is. But it just really displays now the power of Renji's Bankai after he's done the training in the Royal Palace. And the flashback to him training with Ichibei, seeing that his Bankai can be more powerful. It can get to that point, but he has to feed it himself. Another just great display about how connected they are with their Bankai. I'm hoping, I don't know if it will, I'm hoping there's something new cooked up for Byakuya Kuchiki, since he did spend some time in the Royal Palace. Maybe we will get something changed, since thus far we've seen down the Serite, we've only seen him essentially use his Shikai and then give away fear to Rukia. So maybe we get a more in-depth look here at a new Bankai from Byakuya. We're going to have to see. And the way that they did Mayuri's entrance, I love it. I mean, maybe love isn't the right word, but it still keeps up that very opposite dynamic between Kenpachi Zaraki and Mairi about, oh, he looks over there and it's just a complete brute force of spiritual pressures going on. And you can tell Kenpachi wants it that way, but you can tell the foreshadowing of what is to come with more of a battle of wits that Mairi is very much seeking. So this episode is it's just wonderful with the action that we do get, and you can tell that now that they've done the plot so much better and it's not rushed, like they can continue adding all of this suspense to fights that we know are to come if you're a manga reader, but also if you're just purely watching this as an anime, you know that you can almost tell what he's referencing, because Askins, he's preoccupied right now. Gerard's out there looking for people, and he doesn't come off as the most intelligent of the bunch. Let's just be honest about what it is. Gerard is he's a Quincy Kenpachi Zaraki. He's just brute force. That's all he wants. So, I mean, I'm just very pleased with how this episode went, and I think that it was well worth the couple of episodes that we had to endure the last couple weeks of just pure plot. I mean, but let's be honest. If we don't let things like that develop, it doesn't make the fight as good, as suspenseful. It doesn't mean as much while it's going on. I mean, think back to why we are even into most of these early animes. They spend a lot of time developing plot. I mean, but Thousand Year Blood War, as we know, is meant to be a very battle hungry arc. I mean, and especially the last one, especially this Waro arc. I mean, it's just the way it's being done and the amount of episodes that are left that they have to toy with it and keep adding. Like, we have enough room for an entire subplot. Like, everything completely new. So I'm very excited from what's deviated from the source material so far. And I mean, how much it was basically half an episode. I mean, maybe a little more. I don't know exactly. I'm not going to quote it, but very good all around. This is so far. This might be my favorite episode. Might be. When Uryu versus Ichigo was by far also a fan favorite that we long wanted, but this was also extremely good. Showcased characters that we had a lot to be desired, and I think that Kubo, out of a lot of writers, I think that like he knew exactly what he wanted to deliver on when this was being rushed, and I just think that mostly this is, I think the anime is kind of like a geared toward, I don't want to say it's gift to only the manga readers, but you can very much tell that it's like, okay, if you read the manga and you're watching this expecting things, you're getting a lot of treats along the way, and it's very beautifully done. And lastly, I think the only thing that's left to be desired about this episode truly would have been, let someone, preferably Ichigo, catch up to Grimjow when he's chasing Askin, and let's have some sort of three-way battle, since they make it a huge point to say how Grimjow is not on Kurosaki's side. He does not like Ichigo very much. So Askin's persuading him left and right, of course, to join his side. Lazy as he is, I love my lazy characters. But I mean, not a huge complaint. It was very well done. Do not get me wrong. I loved it. The gift ball surprise was perfect. The scene was built up great. It was hilarious. I mean, that's asking though, I mean, but overall, I'm very excited for the next week. What are we going to get? Do you think it's going to be Mayuri's fight? Are we going to deviate and do a little bit of extra material still? Like, how's it? Who's going to come to save Renji? How's that going to end? Does Uryu just leave him there after damaging him so much? I mean, there's a lot of questions. Leave in the comments below what you think is going to happen next week. Are we going to get more of a flashback? Are we going to start the Mayuri fight? Are we going to possibly see the head captain come into action first? Or are we going to get to see Kisuke and the Shihoans start up on something? And something on a Kisuke and the Shihoans note. What I would love to see with all the episodes left is just more on them. Kisuke's Bankai did not get enough justice. Just did not in the manga. And as we can see, like Renji, and like I previously said, wanting for Byakuya, there needs to be more love on Kisuke's Bankai. Like, I don't care if it's not a flashback about his relationship with Yoruichi as much as everyone else would love that. I want to see something with his Bankai. I want some extra crazy stuff, just like with Renji. Like, yeah, that would be satisfying in itself. But as it always is, Saturday is the best day. At least we'll say it this way. Saturday morning is the happiest of times for us Bleach fans. Saturday night, however, is the saddest moment for us Bleach fans, because that is the longest point of time that we have to wait until our next Bleach Saturday morning. Thanks, guys.